When we look at the sky, we see an infinite universe. Billions of galaxies, trillions of stars, and perhaps countless planets. But are we really alone in such a vast universe? UFOs, or unidentified flying objects, which have been a subject of curiosity and debate for centuries, have become the focus of those seeking the answer to this question. In this video, we will focus on 7 interesting pieces of information about UFOs that you have probably not heard before. From official reports to surprising observations, from scientific explanations to cultural perceptions, we will shed light on this mysterious subject from many different perspectives. If you are ready, we are embarking on a journey into the depths of the unknown. And at the end of this journey, perhaps only one question will echo in our minds. Where is everyone? 1. The emergence and evolution of the term UFO. Although today, when we say UFO, we immediately think of alien ships, this term actually has a much more practical origin. It was first used in the early 1950s by the US Air Force to classify airborne objects it could not identify. Unidentified flying object. Previously, terms such as flying discs or flying saucers were common. However, the Air Force needed a more inclusive term because objects that were not circular in shape were also observed. This was an attempt to bring a scientific and impartial approach to the subject from the beginning. In other words, it does not mean that every unidentified thing you see is an alien ship. It just means that it is something we do not yet know what it is. So have you ever thought about how this term became so popular over time and became identified with aliens? And 2, governments and military institutions' UFO research. UFOs have become a subject that not only conspiracy theorists, but also the world's most powerful governments and military institutions have examined. Perhaps the most well-known of these was the research project called Project Blue Book, conducted by the US Air Force from 1952 to 1969. Thousands of UFO sightings were examined within the scope of this project, and natural or human explanations were found for most of them. However, a small portion remained unexplained. Today, the Pentagon's publication of new reports on UFOs and its use of the term unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP, show that the subject is still taken seriously. Why do you think governments invest so much? National security concerns, or are there bigger secrets being kept from us? 3. The most famous and controversial UFO cases. History is full of iconic UFO cases that are still being discussed by millions of people and whose veils of mystery have not yet been lifted. One of the most famous is the Roswell incident in 1947. The discovery of debris in New Mexico was initially reported as a flying disc, but was later revealed to be a military weather balloon. However, conspiracy theories are still alive. Another is the Phoenix Lights in 1997. It was a giant, triangular array of lights observed by thousands of people in the skies over Arizona. Although governments again said it was a military exercise, eyewitnesses were not convinced. These cases show that UFOs are not just lights shining in the sky, but events that are engraved in our collective memory. What do you think was the truth behind these events? 4. Psychological and sociological aspects of UFO sightings. UFOs are not only a threat or a possibility of visitors from outside, but also a reflection of human psychology and social beliefs. A large portion of sightings can actually be explained by misinterpretations. Natural events, meteors, stars, clouds, man-made objects, planes, balloons, drones, or optical illusions. When people see something unfamiliar, their brains automatically try to fit it into known patterns. In addition, mass psychology and the influence of the media can also shape UFO sightings. When one person claims to have seen a UFO, others may start to see similar things. This provides an important perspective to understand why the UFO phenomenon is so widespread. So do you think, does belief shape the sighting, or does observation shape belief? 5. The unidentified causes of UFO sightings. The unidentified part of the term UFO does not always refer to aliens. In fact, a large number of reported UFO sightings have subsequently been explained by misinterpretations of weather balloons, experimental aircraft, planets, especially Venus, satellite reflections, meteors, or even flocks of birds. Sometimes, atmospheric conditions or optical illusions can even transform an ordinary object in the sky into something incredible. The important thing here is to understand the difference between something being unidentified and being alien. When science cannot explain something, it looks for more data and evidence rather than jumping to fantastical theories. So what could the few cases that fall into the unidentified category really be? 6. SETI and the search for alien life. Although UFO sightings are often associated with aliens visiting Earth, the scientific community searches for alien life in different ways, such as the SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligent Life project. SETI tries to understand whether we are alone in the universe by listening for radio signals from space or by looking for signs of intelligent life. This approach, unlike UFO reports, is based directly on scientific methodology. Although SETI research has not yet found definitive evidence, the possibility of other life forms somewhere is scientifically high, given the size of the universe. While UFO sightings have kept the public interested in this scientific search alive, the two are completely different areas. In your opinion, will our first contact with aliens be a UFO sighting or a signal from space? 7. Perception of UFOs and aliens in different cultures of the world. UFOs and aliens are not just a phenomenon of the modern age. In fact, it is a concept that has existed under different names in different cultures throughout human history. Many examples, from ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs to celestial events in the Middle Ages to celestial beings in indigenous mythologies, show that people have always looked at the sky with curiosity and sometimes fear. While these beings were seen as divine figures in some cultures, they were perceived as visitors or divine messengers in others. This shows us that curiosity about the unknown and the effort to make sense of it are part of human nature. UFOs and aliens are a modern manifestation of this universal curiosity. So would these cultural differences affect how we would react if we encountered a universal truth? In light of this interesting information, the UFO phenomenon still stands before us as a mystery that is not fully understood. When we consider the vastness of the universe and the potential possibilities for life, the simple yet profound question of the famous physicist Enrico Fermi inevitably comes to mind. Where is everyone? If there is so much life in the universe, why haven't we clearly encountered it yet? Are UFO sightings a search for an answer to this question, or are they the result of completely different phenomena? Perhaps the answers lie in scientific explanations yet to be discovered, or in the depths of the universe. Regardless, we will continue to look up into the sky and wonder about the unknown.